Good morning, everybody. We're back. Fully staffed, as a matter of fact, here in the studio in North Palm Beach, Florida. I have to remember that we're international. I started out here, this is a local half-hour show 20 years ago, and we were lucky to get out of Palm Beach County in terms of reach. And now with our Facebook and our YouTube and other streaming, we're able to reach all over, and we do. I would say we probably have almost an equal balance from out of state or maybe out of country callers and local callers. Well, maybe not quite. But we love the calls, and that's what this show is all about. You regulars know that you do make the show. We have some incredibly intelligent, articulate callers. And it's kind of like preaching to the choir because these folks don't need our help, but they realize, or a lot of you out there, maybe the ones that don't call in, may need our help, and you want to know, how can I buy or lease a car or have my car serviced without being ripped off by the car dealer? And the silent group, probably majority out there, are listening to some very interesting callers. So if you're a person that maybe you're just listening because you like it, but you don't really have to, you're a sophisticated car purchaser, give us some of your tips and give us a call at 877-960-9960. That's our preferred method of reaching the show because the dialogue, the personalities, the exchange, it's a more human thing to me than texting or Facebooking or posting on YouTube. But it works. They all work, and we wouldn't be able to reach out as far or take as much input if we didn't have all the other sources of reaching Earl on Cars. We have a text number. I know I'm giving out too many numbers, but you can write them down if one of them appeals to you. The text number is 772-497-6530. That's 772-497-6530. We have one texter that texts us every week, Anne Marie, and she is extremely interesting and smart, and she'll have a text, I'm sure, in the batch. Put yours in and text us at 772-497-6530. Now, I mentioned Facebook. Actually, Facebook has become kind of like an older generation thing, but we still have a lot of folks that are on Facebook, and that's facebook.com/Earl on Cars. Facebook.com/Earl on Cars. Even bigger than Facebook is YouTube. And boy, do we have a bunch of followers on YouTube. YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. And our very special, interesting, not used enough. I wish we would get more use. We have a couple on our anonymous feedback. That is a special line. No other talk show that I know has this, but it is a venue to come in and make your comments totally anonymously. We don't know who you are, where you are. And a lot of very sophisticated corporations, the ones that are more advanced and are concerned about customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, they have this anonymous feedback in their companies because, an employee is going to tell you what you want to hear. A customer maybe is afraid to be totally frank. With youranonymousfeedback.com, that's the link, youranonymousfeedback.com, you can maintain total anonymity and you can be totally honest. You can say anything you want to say. The only thing we'll do if it gets too crude or rough, we might, put a bleep in there, but you can say just about anything. And we would love to have your totally candid opinion at youranonymousfeedback.com. Before I switch the mic over to Nancy Stewart, my co-host here, I want to mention Rick Kearney. For the new listeners, all the regulars know Rick very well. He's been with us for many years. He is our certified diagnostic master technician. He's just an expert on how to fix cars. And you have a problem with your vehicle, whether it's a software, whether it's a mechanical, whether it's a computer, electronic. And believe me, all of the above are one of the reasons people are having difficulty with their cars now. The more advanced the cars get, the more complicated they get, And it's just like flying an airplane. It's easier to drive a car than fly an airplane. And our cars now are more like airplanes. I mean, if you really know every switch and button and bell and whistle on your car, you probably ought to be flying an airplane. You're pretty smart. I'm a car dealer. I've been a car dealer since 1968. I can't figure out all the buttons and whistles on my car. So don't be embarrassed to call Rick Kearney. He monitors the YouTube channel, by the way, so if you don't want to call and be live on the air, just go to youtube.com/Earl on Cars. Rick Kearney monitors that. If you want to talk directly, that number is 877-960-9960. That's 877-960-9960. And before, again, I said this before, Stu Stewart is in the studio. He is, I say we own a dealership, we have a Toyota dealership. He's there every day. He manages the dealership. He knows the current status of the auto stuff. I mean, a lot of my knowledge is based on what I did when I was more active, and I have a broader spectrum. Stu has a very specific focus on the car business today, so he knows what's going on. So he monitors our text channel, 772-497-6530, 772-497-6530, and our anonymous feedback. Now, Nancy Stewart, sitting to my left, she is our female advocate. She has raised the listening audience of the ladies out there to just about 50-50. And she tells the ladies some things that they don't hear normally because, let's face it, women are different than men. I know you discovered that probably a long time ago, but I mean, seriously, they have a different perspective outlook. And in a lot of ways, they're more careful. They do more analysis. They're not an emotional purchaser of a car like a lot of men do. So if you ladies would like to call Nancy Stewart right here, she will give you that information and tell you a special offer. If you haven't called the show before, you're not going to believe.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. You're a big part of the show. You make the show. Our number here is 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. First, I want to thank all of the ladies that have called and have sent me thank you cards, and I so appreciate all of you who helped me build this platform here because you make up a huge financial number with the auto industry. Service, I would say that there's probably about 50% of ladies who come through service. So you're a big part of the industry. $50 for the first two new lady callers. First two lady callers. You can share your experience with us, whether you leased, whether you bought, whether you serviced, whatever. Or if you'd just like to say hello, that'd be great also. We are going to start off with our first time female caller. And her name is Jean, and she's calling from Boca. Good morning, Jean.
Good morning, Nancy. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited to talk to you.
So I have a great question that I'm getting mixed advice from my colleagues, but I really need more expert advice. I just moved up here from New York about a year ago, and I had leased my car, my 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited, in New York, but my lease is up here in Florida. Well, the 2 years is up. And I'm just trying to decide if I should buy it out or if I should, turn it in and just go for something new. My trade-in price is $24,525. I mean, my buy price, if I choose to buy it, is $24,525. I've got under 10,000 miles on it.
Was this a 3-year lease?
It was a brand new lease when I got it 2 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, so it's a 3-year lease that you got.
I mean, a 3-year lease. Excuse me.
That you got in 2021.
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to think of when the leasing companies would have caught up with the residual value. So for a long time, and I'm not quite sure if it's starting to peter out now, but people that leased their cars before the inventory crunch, that $24,000 buyout that you have, that's part of your contract, so you can buy it no matter what.
Correct.
During the worst of the inventory crunch, we saw prices of used cars going crazy. So, for example, let's say if you had your $24,000 buyout, the market said that car would be worth $30,000 or something crazy like that. So you were in a great position, and so everybody was buying out their leases. So my advice to you, get an appraisal on it, or you can do it online without wasting any of your time, and fill out all the information and find out what the current market value is on that. If it's higher than the 24,000 or significantly higher, I'd consider buying yours. But there's other options. Obviously, you can turn it back in and buy another car.
Let me jump in there just a minute. Stu says gives an appraisal. He's looking. He means a bid to buy the car.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Appraisals car dealers give you don't mean anything. Usually, they sometimes under appraise or over appraise on purpose. But you've got whether it's whatever category it comes under, as Stu described. When after which the leasing companies adjusted their residuals, you still should shop it, and it's still a seller's market. So you've got Carvana. I don't know if you're familiar with that. They advertise like crazy.
Yes. I mean, I've never used it, but I know of it, and I've been on that website.
And there's a one called Vroom, which is not as well known, VROOM, VROOM.com. You also have probably the best one, and the first one I would try would be CarMax.
Yeah.
You can get a buying bid from CarMax, and there's several of them in this area that they're going to give you the same price, but the closest one you probably want to call. And then take it to the local Jeep dealers. Go to the used car department of the Jeep dealers.
Toyota. It's a Camry. Toyota Camry.
Oh, Camry. Yeah, take it to 3 different Toyota used car departments and get a bid. You can have a lot of fun with this because used cars are extremely short. There's a big article in the Automotive News, that's the Auto Dealer Trade Journal right now, saying we can't find enough cars. We need cars badly. So you got a car, you're going to sell it, and you're in the driver's seat. So you can have some fun with that. I promise you, if you get 5 bids on your car, which you can do in one day online or less. I mean, you could even take it into some car places. But you can get 5 bids on your car. You will see a variance in price offers of cash for at least $1,000, maybe $2,000. And
wow.
That's the kind of excitement. And all you do is look for the high bid. You confirm it. Now you know what you want to get for the vehicle. And if you want to trade it in, you want to get that amount. If you just want to sell it, go ahead and sell it.
Another thing to consider, also, since you're in a lease, do you typically lease your cars?
Do I typically? This was the first lease I had. Prior to that, I owned cars.
Okay, good. Because right now there aren't any very tempting lease programs from Toyota right now due to the the inventory situation. So the lease prices will not be nearly as good as what you probably signed up for. So buying a car is probably a smarter move now.
All right.
Right, Gene.
Well,
Gene,
thank you. I've got lots to do the next time we get one of our rainstorms now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Stu, did Jean say she was driving a Cherokee?
No, a Toyota
Yeah.
Camry. Okay, Cherokee.
No,
I thought you said.
no, a Jeep Grand.
Oh, okay.
Right. Jean, it was much easier being in the position that you're in a while ago. It wasn't as complicated right up. You having a lease and purchasing it, it was the best way to go. But right now, things are, well, I'm going to say they're a little bit complicated, meaning there aren't as many cars out there as far as the used cars are concerned. But rather than go into all of that, the appraisal is very, very important, and you might come out on top and decide to purchase your Cherokee. So what the current market value is really important. And as Earl said, Carvana, Vroom.com, very important.
WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Another one, YouBuyAnyCar.com. So without complicating all of this, let me let Rick add something to this.
Tom Steckland kicked in on YouTube. He says, watch out for dealers who charge outrageous fees for lease buyouts. But Earl, at one point, didn't you say that they're not allowed to charge any extra fees?
It varies from state to state. There was a big class action suit in Florida, and it scared the hell out of a lot of car dealers. But I don't think you'll have a problem with that in Florida anymore. They can't charge you anything to exercise your option to purchase your lease car. It's a law, 1976 Consumer Leasing Act, and it's a violation of federal law. So, but there's always a dealer out there that probably might try, but I don't think so. In Florida.
Jane, unfortunately, you have a lot of homework to do here, and anything's possible. Rick mentioned, fees with leases, and just be careful what you sign and take a long look at everything and all your options, and you'd be sure to come out on top.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. A lot of really sound advice, and I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Gene. Stay on the line and talk with Jeremy. He's in our control room. He'll get your information, contact information, and I will get that check out to you for $50. And all the ladies out there who are listening right now, thank you for calling the show and being part of this platform that we're trying to build for the female audience.
Oh, well, thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Earl. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everybody.
You're quite welcome. Please give us a call back and let us know what your choice was.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
You're welcome. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to talk to Meg, who's calling us from Delray Beach. She is a first-time caller. Good morning. Welcome,
Good
Meg.
morning. How are you, Nancy?
I'm well, thank you.
The question I have is kind of two-pronged. I heard Earl talking about the future of dealerships and the effect that the electric car has had on them. And I've been looking and reading about the hydrogen cars, and I wondered if you have any opinion. Maybe your panel would give me some ideas about what they think of the future of the hydrogen cars, and if Earl thinks if they become very popular, would that affect the dealership owners, or how would that work?
Actually, Meg, it's not. The future of the dealership has to do with the fact that electric vehicle manufacturers have been given a pass on having to sell through dealerships, and for that reason, now hydrogen cars are still an iffy thing. They kind of got put by the wayside. The only serious manufacturer candidate for hydrogen cars would be Toyota. They put all their eggs in the hydrogen basket a long time ago when everybody else was jumping onto the electric vehicle bandwagon. Now they fell way behind. They haven't dropped the hydrogen project, but they jumped onto the electric vehicle program. So if all the manufacturers are manufacturing all the cars as electric vehicles, the way it looks now, they could choose to go directly. Like if you want to buy an iPhone, you buy it directly from Apple. You don't have to go through a dealer. They have Apple dealers, but the dealerships are owned by Apple. So virtually all the manufacturers now have that electric vehicle in production or almost in production. And the question will be, do they elect to go direct? I'm betting that they do. Publicly, they won't admit it. When they get interviewed, they always say, our dealer body is vital. We must have them. We will always sell cars through dealers. But frankly, I think they're lying, because if they alienated their dealers now, the dealers would fight back.
It's not unusual, Meg.
Right.
Oh, my goodness, they lied.
Well, look,
Exactly.
I've been a dealer for a lot of manufacturers. I've had multiple dealerships, including General Motors and Fiat and Peugeot and Mazda and Toyota. A lot of manufacturers, and I haven't dealt with one that was ever totally honest with me. So I think, especially when it involves their existence. Matter of fact, there's not very many people that are totally honest when it involves their existence. If the manufacturer said today, As soon as I can, I'm going to drop all my dealerships, franchises. I'm going to cancel the franchises, and I'm going to sell direct. The dealers would put the manufacturer out of business. So
Yeah.
I just don't think we're getting honesty from them.
Yeah, well, that's par for the course today as far as honesty is concerned. By the way, I've always appreciated the values that your dealership works on, and the fact that they support the animal rescues. I just think that's wonderful.
Oh, thanks, Meg. We have a whole lot to say about Big Dog Ranch this morning, so don't go anywhere. Stay on the line. Before we go, what's your reason for looking into hydrant? Are you trying to decide? Second part of my question is: are you deciding between hydrogen powered and electric? And the hydrogen, I believe, can take you further.
Yes, there's several things, and also I think about the byproducts of the hydrogen car. It's water, it's not other nasty things that gasoline and
You're talking about polluting the air.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, polluting the air, and also electric cars. I just don't. I feel like, what makes the electricity that you charge the car with? Well, that comes from power plants, and not all power plants are environmentally.
They're not all equal, but
exactly. So,
but the hydrogen.
It's a lot of. Yeah, it goes further. It's a cleaner emissions. It just seems to me. I think they haven't perfected any kind of battery that's safe, though. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a
but
lot.
I think it would be wonderful to have a choice between gas, electric, or hydrogen cars.
Correct, Meg. And we always have a choice, always. And I want to thank you for calling the show and being a part of our platform that we're building here for the ladies. And if you stay on the line, you can talk to Jeremy in our control room and give him your contact information, and I'll mail that check out to you for $50. Spread the word.
Oh,
we need the support.
Ooh. Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being bubbly and happy and calling the show. We look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget youranonymousfeedback.com. We are going to go to Phil, who's calling us from Jupiter. Good morning, Phil.
Hey, how you all doing? Yes, I think I got a wreck question here. I've got a 2017 Prius. It's got 72,000 miles on it. And I was just wondering, is it better to get an oil change more often when the car gets older like that, instead of waiting 10,000 miles to get an oil change, do it maybe every 5,000 miles? I mean, would that help the longevity of the car?
Not really on the Prius. The main factor that you got to understand with the Prius is you as the driver really have no control over the gasoline engine. The computer runs the gasoline engine as a generator, so it has total control and determines when it's going to run and how fast it's going to operate. Whereas on a normal car, you can over rev that engine anytime you wanted. So by doing that, the computer actually keeps a better, tighter control on the engine, and it actually doesn't run for the full 10,000 miles, maybe about 3/4 of it or less, because it's shutting that engine off so often. So you're perfectly safe to stick with that 10,000. However, as the car does get a little older and higher mileage, it becomes more important to check your oil often enough just to make sure that it hasn't started to burn oil. We do see on the Prius engines, because they do shut off quite a bit, they don't stay at that full operating temperature, and they sometimes at higher mileage do start to tend to burn a little bit of oil and consume a little bit. So you want to make sure you check it about once every couple thousand miles. Just make sure you're not getting low on oil ever.
Or just go with the factory owner's recommendations.
Well, that is 10,000, but it also says to check your oil at least every 1,000 miles in the owner's manual.
Oh, it
Is that
does.
right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wow,
Interesting.
I didn't know that.
You mean just look at the dipstick and check it? Is that what you're talking
Exactly. Yes.
Is that only in the Prius?
All cars, all Toyotas, it'll say in the owner's manual to check your oil often. Usually it recommends it at every fill up of your gas tank. And it also says in the owner's manual for Toyotas.
Every fill up of your gas tank. So you go in, you fill the tank up yourself, and then you're going to pop your hood
And check your oil.
What a joke that is. I mean,
Well, it's most of them.
everybody who checks their oil
Yeah.
every 1,000 miles raise their hand.
Well, that's why I say you don't need to do it as often as every fill up, but it even says in the factory owner's manual
oh no, I'm sure
that Toyotas can use up to 1 quart of oil per 1,000 miles.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I mean they put their weasel notes in there, so just to make safe. But yeah, that's why I recommend when they start getting up there, check it once in a while.
They put that in there because they build some engines that are so far almost out of tolerance that they burn way too much
Mm-hmm.
oil. So if you buy a car and it burns a quart of oil every 1,000 miles, you've got yourself almost a lemon. But technically, they got you because they put such a wide tolerance on there that they can say, oh no, that's a range. You have a range. Now, your next door neighbor who bought a car that was built, the exact same car that was built exactly on tolerance, he's getting 20,000 miles before he burns a quart of oil.
Exactly.
So if that doesn't make you want to throw up, I don't know what will. But they're trying to hold the driver, the owners, responsible for their sloppiness in manufacture, in my humble opinion. Didn't mean to get you in the middle of a battle
Well, there
on
you
that
go.
one.
There you go.
Well,
Still, but I learned something I didn't know, that Toyota is actually telling the owners to check their oil every 1,000 miles.
Maybe they put that in there in 1950 and they just forgot to
I
take
think
it
they
out.
probably did, yeah.
Well, it's one of those lawyer weasel notes. They put them in that way they're covered just in case.
Well, what if someone's being conscientious and wants to go by the book, and they actually have to go through that?
We have 4 customers like that.
Yeah, we have 4. Yeah.
I actually.
That's Rick does it too.
Okay, let's move along
about?
here.
If you got to check
Wait, Rick does it. Hold on a sec. Rick just admitted he checks his oil, his dipstick at every gas fill up.
Well, not every, but every other.
Even Rick doesn't do it. See?
No, he does it.
You know, he said every other.
Okay, I think Phil's trying to talk.
Yeah. Is it better to do it while the car is warm to check your oil, or cold? Does it make any difference to get a true reading?
Not really, because there's a, as Earl says, there's a range on that dipstick, but it's as long as you make sure you're up near that top mark, and that when you check it, just give it about 20, 30 seconds. Make sure the oil has drained down into the pan, and make sure you're on a relatively level surface.
Oh, okay.
And when you check it, if it's near that top mark, you're going to be fine.
Oh, okay. Now I got one other question about the availability of the new Prius. Has it improved, or can you order one yet, or what's the situation?
Stu?
The new one is you can order it. They're already on the road. They're arriving. The production is slow, but picking up now in the second half of the year. But it would be best to. Well, it depends. There's some dealerships that might have 1 or 2 on the lot. I don't know what they're marking them up for, but find one that that doesn't do that, or put in an order, because getting just a couple a month right now.
If you want one for Christmas, order it today, and you'll have it for Christmas 2024.
Possibly, but we'll see as it picks up.
Oh my God.
Well, the supply is definitely increasing. I just got a message from someone asking me to go look at a Sun Toyota over Newport Richey or Holiday, Florida. They have over 400 cars in stock. That's kind of suspect. The websites aren't usually very good information. Like even our website, which is primarily controlled, the inventory is controlled by Toyota. It can be deceiving. That's why we have a big disclaimer saying most of these cars that look like they're available aren't available. But we're seeing the change right now. So I would like we say to everybody is go out, get some quotes from multiple dealers online, so you don't have to waste your time. and go for the lowest price.
So
Again-
are y'all taking orders now? Could you order one from your dealer?
Yes, yeah, we have a list. I don't know, from here how big it is. The best thing to do would just to call in and speak to one of the sales managers and ask what the wait time
okay.
is, and they can give you.
All right, good
an
deal.
accurate-
I'll do that.
Yeah. All right.
All
Thanks
right,
for calling.
appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
You got it.
Thank you, Phil. Have a great weekend. We're going to go to Marty, who's holding. He's a regular caller from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning. How are you?
We're well, thank you.
I have a question. I intend to buy my wife's lease out in March. She's got a CRV. And when I brought her car over there to, you have your back, Ed Morris, gentleman, he said, in order to buy the lease out through them, they have to sell the car as a used car. So they got to add on their dealer markup and all their other stuff. Now, I can't sell that car to you and get a Toyota because you can't buy a Honda.
Right.
So that's another complicated deal. But the salesperson I talked to at Ed Moore said the best thing is buy it directly from Honda. So do you think that's true? Or if you go into, like, your dealership,
Yeah,
you
he's
still
giving you
can't
good.
buy it, right?
He's giving you good advice. No, they're not cooperating. I mean, as far as we know right now, you can't get a payoff, and I don't know how long that's going to last. The salesperson gave you good advice. You can buy it directly from the manufacturer, from Honda, and you won't be charging any other fees. The other thing you could possibly do, I don't know which one would be easier, is just give Brayman a call, or another Honda dealership, Johnson Honda up in Stewart, and just you might want to mention that the big expose in South Florida just recently of dealerships getting in trouble and getting fined for charging people fees on their lease buyouts. It's against the law. You're not going to convince the salesperson at Ed Moore's Toyota of that, or anybody there really. Only Teddy can make that decision. But there's other dealers that might not do that. But we'll see. I mean, you got to call around. But your best bet might just be going through Honda. That way you're just dealing with kind of like a Honda bureaucrat. They don't care. It's going to be through the mail, and it might be simple.
Now, Toyota's doing the same thing now, right? You can't
Get a payoff somewhere else.
sell your Toyota.
Yeah, I think it's just that you can't get a payoff quote, and I'm not sure if the actual sale part's forbidden. I'm not quite sure, but at our dealership we don't charge anything to the buyout. We'll collect the sales tax for the state of Florida, and we'll transfer the registration for you, and we'll just charge you what the state charges us, or the county,
Right.
DMV.
Yeah. Now, the other thing where Ed Morris has the advantage, they have also in Delray, they have a Toyota dealer.
Yeah.
So
So they communicate, right? You're absolutely right. I think they can help facilitate, cross lease purchasing. So that's
Right.
But it's
So
not an
you
advantage
brought
to
a
you.
Toyota into
It's not
them.
for you though.
Marty, we got
No.
3 calls holding, so
Okay. Thanks, but yeah, I'll have to buy it directly.
Do that.
All right.
Thanks, Marty.
Very good.
Great hearing from you.
Talk to you next week.
Have a great weekend. We're going to go to Bob, who's holding in Lake Park. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Happy Labor Day weekend, everybody.
Oh, thank you. The same to you. Happy Labor
thank
Day
you very
weekend.
Thank you. I'm waiting for that new hydrogen model to come out. I think it's called the Hindenburg.
You wait for
Oh,
that one.
the horror, the horror.
Yeah, the horror. Don't wait for that one.
that's funny.
Listen,
I believe that's a German model, by the way. It's not.
yes, it was
No.
yes, Volkswagen. Good news, the new Mustangs have arrived.
Look at
The 24 Mustangs. The bad news is the dealer markups. Alpaca's marking the 4-cylinder up over $2,500. Wayne Akers is marking up the 8-cylinder GT $5,000, and if you want to buy the Dark Horse, which goes for about $65,000 MSRP, you have to give them $100.
Wow.
I thought-
Did you check to see what Mullinax Ford was doing? Because they're
I was over there to look at the car. They had one in there, a couple of them that came in, and what's happened is they put when you go inside the car, it's one big iPad. That's what it is. It's a giant iPad.
That's cool.
The salesman didn't even know how to turn on the radio. We couldn't get the radio on. There's
You
no
have to talk
volume.
to
There's
it,
no
probably.
button. Well, there's a volume button, but that's it. Everything else is touch screen, and I was confused because how are you supposed to be driving the car if you have to go over to do something on the screen? I would think you'd have to take your eyes off the road.
Yeah, you got to feel
extremely
something.
Right.
Yeah, physical touch helps you, find things.
Right. And
I
then
didn't
they
even know that about the car. Did he say anything about their pricing, or are they going to mark it up? I'm really curious.
I'm waiting right now. I'm just doing my due diligence,
Okay.
and looking up, and because cars are just coming in. But they also have the owner's manual on the iPad now.
Oh, okay. I think Tesla has that as well. If you want to get,
they do?
Yeah, to get the owner's manual, it's on the screen.
Right. Well, I saw something that was very interesting. The number of cars, the number of models, excluding Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Rolls-Royce, that sell for $100,000 or more. 4 years ago, there were 12 models. Do you know how many there are now?
No.
A lot.
A lot. Over
How many?
40.
Over 40.
Over
It's crazy.
40. Oh, it's crazy.
I wasn't going to guess that high, but I knew, a lot of the electric cars, and it's just the average price is
Right.
what, 50,000
Yeah.
average MSRP in the world.
Over $100,000.
Uh-huh.
Over $100,000.
100,000.
Mortgages.
Yeah.
They should start doing 30-year loans.
Well, I think some of the car. I think they are extending. There are some loans now that you can get that go out quite a long period of time. I think there are
Those aren't a
some.
good idea.
Yeah.
No. I mean,
Well-
everybody.
Well,
I
Bob,
don't know, but
do you have any other questions, Bob?
no, I can get off because
Or
I think that's
information
another
to
call.
share with us? Yeah.
No,
Sorry
no.
to rush you. We got some
That's
calls
okay.
backed up.
I'm waiting for your dog. You got a dog coming in today?
Yeah,
We have a video.
we definitely do. Natalie will write. Forgot his name, Jonathan.
Whatever your name is.
Tank.
Hey, where are we? Yes, Bob. We have Tank, and she'll come to us via video this morning.
Okay.
I'll talk
Well,
a
have
little
great
more
weekend,
about it
and I'll-
later, and I'll also
talk
talk
to you.
more about the veterans program that they have out there.
Wonderful. Okay, I'll talk to you next week. Have a
Thanks,
great
Bob.
weekend, everybody.
We'll
Bye-bye.
look forward to hearing from you. Let's go to Jersey Mike from West Palm Beach. He is another regular caller. Good morning.
Good morning. I love your show. I even recommended it to some other people, and I think they're gaining a lot of knowledge. So I thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
I got a few. You're welcome. I got a few questions. What would cause dirty brake fluid in my 2014 AST Cadillac?
Just age. The brake fluid cap is actually open to the atmosphere, and you get so much dust and dirt under the hood that eventually some of those particles are going to work their way into the fluid. So it's going to get a little bit dirty. It's also going to pick up a little bit of moisture from the air. It's completely normal.
Could it be enough to cause the brakes to lock up?
No.
So if they lock up, it's something else.
Yeah. Usually what happens in South Florida.
It was dirty. I was told it was dirty brake fluid that caused them to lock up.
Nah,
Front brake.
usually it's the slide pins or the calipers, the way they're designed and mounted. Rust is the biggest culprit on that.
Okay. Can I top off my refrigerant without the equipment?
No, not safe to do so. Will not work very well at all. What you'll usually wind up doing is making it worse. It'll blow even less cool air. You'll wind up making it hotter. The proper way to do it is to have a machine that can evacuate all the refrigerant out and actually draw it down into a vacuum to make sure
Yes,
it's
I've seen it
completely empty and then recharge it.
Yep, I understand that. One more question. You recommended cleaning the throttle because when you stop at a light, I had a lot of shudder going on. My engine was like shaking, and I did clean it thoroughly with the throttle cleaner, and it helped out. But it's still doing it to some degree. Could it be something else going on?
Yeah, as cars get older, one of the big things we see are the rubber motor mounts. They begin to settle and compress a bit with time.
Okay.
And
Yep.
so the natural vibrations of the engine now are being transmitted more through the car, and you feel them a lot more than you would have before when they had that fresh, soft rubber isolating it.
I appreciate you answering my questions. I would point one thing out to you. A long time ago, I'd say probably, I'm 77 years old, but when I was in my early 40s, I went ahead and built my own hydrogen engine with a water tank in the trunk. It wasn't that difficult to do because at that time, carburation was simply, a 4-barrel Carter carburetor. And all you had to do is run the line over and pressurize it with that tank of water in the trunk, and you had it was only good upon after you're up to speed and you've got momentum going. It wouldn't work when you start off from accelerating, from a stop position, but it did cause probably, I'd say, a 25 to 30% reduction in gas fuel consumption.
So
and it can be done. All you got to do is go ahead and
You should have
look it up,
patented
I'm
that
sure.
and sold it for $100 million.
No, that was
No.
already, all the motorheads were doing that back then.
yeah, but if you've tried to patent that, the big three would have come along, bought up the patent. You'd have
course.
disappeared. Nobody would have ever heard from you again.
Matter of fact, you want to
And-
know, I think that actually happened. What you just said, that they would buy it up. I think that's what took place. But you could still do it yourself. Nobody's going to stop you from doing it.
As long as they didn't find out about it, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to go advertise it.
Yeah.
But the guys in my neighborhood, I had a 427 Corvette that I worked it. Did a racing head job to it, put a cam in it, put side pipes on it, dynoed out at about 490 horse. So I was doing 0 to 60 in 4.0 seconds.
Okay, so you were getting about 3 miles a gallon anyways.
Well, I was having fun with that car. I would only take it on the weekends. By the way, let me just tell you one thing. Everybody I take it out, I would race. I'd beat them all. One day, I'm on Route 80 this is North Jersey. I'm on Route 80 coming out of Patterson. It's late. I'm in the middle lane. I got to get off in about a mile or so. And a guy comes alongside me on the right-hand side in a slow lane, downshifts, and he's got a pea green Dodge Duster. This is a nanny car that you take to go get your groceries, okay? So I slowed down. I looked at the back of the rear end, no tack sitting on the window. And guess what? We got down to about 22 miles an hour. That's my power curve at 2,600 RPMs. I nailed it. I went through it, got it up to about 105. He was like 12 cars ahead of me. Just disappeared. Guess what he had in the car?
Probably a 440 Magnum.
Mike, you sound like me talking to Nancy, telling her about
he had nitrous oxide in the trunk.
Oh, yeah.
Look out, Mama. Mama mia.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Jersey Mike, I'm changing your name to a wild and crazy guy from Jersey.
my friends here, they're going to laugh their ass off. Thank you. Great talking to you.
Oh, always a pleasure. Have a great weekend. Okay, 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. And your anonymous feedback, it's out there. You can use it and take advantage of it. YourAnonymousFeedback.com. We're going to go to John in Palm City, who is a regular caller and always has great information for us. Good morning, John.
Good morning to everyone. We need some good news after the Hawaiian fires and the hurricane in Florida.
Oh, Lord.
On late live cable TV, they showed a pickup truck helping a woman, and he had to go in the floodwater to tie a rope to her Chrysler Pacifica. He actually bent down like a deep sea diver to tie the rope onto the Chrysler, and he pulled her off the flood part of the road with his pickup truck and a rope. Now, I just want to mention about a rope that people should have, and it's from WeatherTech. It's a kinetic recovery rope. It's inexpensive. It hauls 9,000 pounds, and it's 20 feet long. So it's a good idea to have that, handy. You never know when you need it in an emergency.
Yeah.
And it's reasonably priced. And WeatherTech is a company not only with the floor mats, but they have a new item now with pet barriers so the pet doesn't come in the front seat. They have mats, mud flaps, and they have a new tonneau cover that covers the back of most pickup trucks. It's an excellent outfit and highly recommended. And again, hats off to people. Many people that own pickup trucks, and it's America's vehicle. I mean, Rick will tell you, some areas people just have to have it. Pickup trucks, some of them are so beautiful, they look nicer than some of the automobiles. And usually in a pickup truck, people carry emergency equipment like flares, and they can help people. And most of the people that drive pickup trucks are very cooperative, and they're willing to go out of their way to help the public.
Yeah, they really are. And that company that you mentioned, I've heard of them and I've seen their commercial. Boy, they have everything.
Yes.
Everything to accommodate
and a
you.
coffee cup that goes in the front that you don't spill your coffee. It's WeatherTech.com, 800-441-6287.
That's 1-800-441-6287. Okay.
Yes, great
John,
company.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I hope you stick around and see the video of our Dog of the Week and also our mystery shopping report.
Look forward to it.
Thanks,
Thank
John. You and the family have a happy Labor Day weekend. Okay, we're going to go to Lance, who is a regular caller, and he composes and writes songs from time to time. And he's making his debut again.
Does he have his guitar this time?
I'm not sure what instrument he's playing this morning.
Hey, Lance.
Oh,
Good morning, Lance. Welcome.
good morning from the hills of East Tennessee,
Look at.
where it never rains and it never snows.
Uh-huh.
I've got a little quick tune for you and a quick question. First of
Okay.
all, I apologize, I'm tuning in a little late today. Have you discussed the potential UAW strike?
No, we did last week, but we haven't talked about it yet. It's starting to get kind of serious.
Yes, it looks. I think they will strike. Just watching. I kind of keep up. Keep up with all that for a business reason, and I'm telling you, I think they will strike.
What do they have, 2 weeks, Lance?
September the 14th.
Yeah, soon.
So what is your? I guess the concern for a car buyer or anybody looking to be in the market is if we didn't have high enough prices now, you get a UAW strike, we'd be right back where we were a year ago with $8,000 over a sticker. Now it's only about $2,000 over a sticker.
I think it will climb exponentially.
Yeah, it is a scary thing to think about. Of course, there are some manufacturers out there that are non-union, not many, but they certainly wouldn't be able to supply the demand.
Oh, I'm curious. You've been talking about hydrogen cars. Now, is that hydrogen peroxide?
No, that's what some people use in their hair, I think. But no, it's a pure hydrogen gas.
Okay, I wanted to get that clarified because I felt like there might be a run up here at the drugstore on hydrogen peroxide, and I didn't want to create that.
No, it's
Well, here's the tune. Fly me to the moon.
Okay.
Let me play among the stars. If you want to buy a used car, listen to Earl Stewart on cars.
Well, I'm going to hire you. Are you available to be part of my marketing agency?
Oh, I'm available for anything. You can think of. It's legal or illegal. I'm available.
Well, you're
Well,
the
Lance,
man,
you may be
Lance.
getting some phone calls.
You're the
There's a
man.
lot of people listening to our show this morning, and no one has said that they are available for anything. So
Listen,
be prepared.
Good morning. Have a happy Labor Day, and it's a great treat for me to listen and to call in.
Thank you very much.
Call again. We're relying on you
We
now,
lo-
Lance.
we love hearing
We'll talk
from
to
you.
you next week. Thanks so much.
Happy Labor Day. Folks, you know, in the automotive news this morning, Earl and I were looking at the same time at one particular article, and that was about dealers struggling. They say that the struggle is real to find good used cars to sell, and this goes with, you know, without saying that, with all of the rain that everyone has had, flood cars are going to be just everywhere, and you really have to be careful. And Earl wrote a great column, how to avoid buying a flood car after the hurricane, the tropical storms, the tornadoes that we have, everything all over the country. Those flood cars, I'm telling you, they have such a musty odor, the watermarks, the stains, the rust, the corrosion, the mud debris, everything that's almost noticeable, you know, to the nose or to the eyes or to the feel. And you really have to be careful this time of year, any time of the flood cars. So just a word to the wise. Our number is 877-960-9960, and our text number is 772-497-6530. We also have youranonymousfeedback.com. And I want to thank everyone who has joined Earl's Vigilantes. And what a great job everybody's doing out there. It's remarkable, and you can still volunteer. You don't have to, you know how to take an engine apart. And you can not only help others, but you can help people, you know, right in your neighborhood. So go to Earl on Cars and check out Earl's Vigilantes. Earl, we're out of calls. Maybe Stu has, and Rick has some stuff
Can
for
I
us.
just jump in here?
Yeah.
Rick, should we correct this thing about the 1,000 mile?
I've been looking for that, and I have not been able to find it myself so far. Toyota simply says to check the oil.
Well, they say to you. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
It says in the owner's manual, it simply tells you how to check the oil, but it does not specify how often.
Yeah, I think we said that earlier. So anybody
have to
listening
apologize to Toyota now.
that would feel they compelled to be checking their own oil every 1,000 miles, that isn't accurate. It's just you should check it occasionally. In my opinion, I think I would just let my mechanic, my independent or dealership person check my oil when I came in for my maintenance. But if you want to be more conservative, you could have it checked more often. But I check with ChatGPT, the AI app, my favorite AI app, and they said no manufacturer is requiring that you have to check your oil every 1,000 miles, including Toyota.
Now, however, with Toyota's current maintenance schedule for their cars, they have it where you come in at 5,000 miles for a tire rotation, and at that time,
that's a good idea.
All the fluid levels should be checked.
Right.
So that would include checking the oil level by the technician.
Yeah.
And then again at 10,000, your oil would be changed.
Yeah.
So that actually makes it a very good time at that midpoint.
Yeah, 5,000 miles makes sense. So change that original recommendation from checking your oil every 1,000 miles to check it every 5,000 miles would be a good idea.
And then if your car, when you're hitting the high on mileage, if the technician recommends that you should check it a little more often, I would follow that advice.
Yeah, if you got one of these cars that burns a whole lot of oil because the manufacturer sold you one that came off the line at the extreme end of their tolerance level, then you got a problem. So you probably should check it a lot. Raise hell with the manufacturer too, and make a lot of noise, because I think that's one of these dirty little secrets that the manufacturers have. They have a goal for what they want their tolerances to be. And the goal is a good number, but they also have a variance. They have a very wide variance on their manufacturing tolerances. So if you are manufacturing cylinders in your plant, and you have too wide a variance, that means the ones that come out at the extreme end on either side are really kind of sloppy.
Yeah.
And that means you're going to be burning one hell of a lot of oil. If you're lucky and you got one that's in the middle, then you could go 10, 20,000 miles before you burn a quart of oil. If you got one end or the other, you could burn a quart of oil in 1,000 miles. And they say that's okay. I say that's crazy.
Well, here's something new that we got. I think you're going to like this one. This is coming from Donovan. Tesla this week showed off the updated Model 3 at a random event in Norway. The car has 50% new parts and gets 12% more range with the same size battery.
Wow.
The car is one of the lowest coefficient of drag of any production car to get the longer range. Plus, they were able to drop the price of the Model S and the Model X this week by $20,000 each.
Where was this?
This is a random event in Norway.
Norway.
Tesla has announced they're dropping the price on the S and the X. Hopefully this isn't just in Norway, but worldwide, by $20,000, which is kind of insane, he says. And it now means that the X model will now qualify for the $7,500 tax credit.
Now you got yourself, you can buy your car in Norway, your Tesla, and pay for the vacation and still come out ahead. You're saving $20,000.
You want to go to Norway on a vacation? Maybe skiing. You know.
What's wrong with Norway?
I don't know. It seems kind of icy.
I'd rather go to Iceland myself.
Well, that's not as icy as Norway.
No, it's beautiful green country.
All right.
But anyway, the idea that Tesla is now dropping the prices that much on those vehicles, especially the Model X, which is the one with those flip-up doors, that's a pretty big step. And the Model 3 with increased range.
Thanks, Donovan. You're the greatest. If we had you're definitely, of course, all YouTube callers are all good, but you're the best of the best. Thank you very much.
Oh, he says the price drop was here in the U.S.
Oh, great.
So, sorry, Earl, your Tesla just depreciated by $20,000.
Nah.
Well,
we don't compare
I don't
the
have
X's
an
and
X
the
or an
S's.
S. I have an S,
You have
yeah.
an S. You don't compare those two. Those are totally different, especially the Plaid.
Oranges and apples.
Well, the S and the X both
the
got
S.
a $20,000 price drop.
Wow. Mine did
the
depreciate
Plaid?
that, yeah.
He didn't specify for Plaid. He just said
they
the
don't,
S.
They don't. Yeah, they don't. I promise you, they don't take the premium models and drop them
Yeah,
like that.
probably not. But still, Model S $20,000 cheaper, folks.
That's
How about
right.
when the
It's-
Roadster comes out,
if it comes out.
Plaid, yeah.
Yeah, well,
They'll come
whenever
out
the
with-
Roadster
it'll
comes
come out
out,
with the Cybertruck.
I'll be driving the
By the
Plaid.
way, I looked. I searched the Toyota 2022 Camry owner's manual maintenance guide using the search function, so it's a PDF. There's nothing in there that says you have to check your oil level every 1,000 miles or anything like that.
Right.
The
I
only-
was looking. I haven't found it.
Yeah, the only thing about checking any oil levels is when you bring it in for your regular maintenance.
Yeah.
So we have Anne Marie has a text for us. And
Good morning, Anne Marie.
So Rick's got to pay attention. Good morning. I was wondering when and how often should you get in alignment? When you often drive rough roads, when you hit a bad pothole or a curb, when you get your tires replaced, or when your vehicle starts to shimmy? And that's from Anne Marie. Great question. Not everybody knows.
I get my tires replaced about every week.
Well, you have to, because you're burning the rubber off it more than your Pontiac GTO.
I have a tendency to like to drive over curbs.
Oh, okay. You're not burning the rubber. You're
destroying it.
You're just assaulting the rubber.
Shredding.
And the answer is all of the above except the last one.
Oh, when your vehicle starts to shimmy.
Exactly.
Because that's not an alignment problem.
Right. Basically, an alignment issue on the car is if it feels like your car is doing what we call dog tracking. In other words, if you see some cars when they're going down the road, it almost seems like the car is turned a little bit sideways when it's going down the road. That's called dog tracking. You ever watch a dog sometimes when they're walking, they literally, their back end will start to go sideways.
See,
That's where we get the term.
I love that.
Dog tracking.
And
why do dogs do that?
just because they're a little off that way, a little weird, which it fits for the car. And that means that the thrust angle of the alignment of the car is incorrect. Also, if your steering wheel is off center, when you're going straight and your steering wheel isn't level,
So you'll see that. You're actually going to see your steering wheel looks like it's turned a little while you're going straight.
And one other factor is look for a road where it's hard to find in Florida because our roads have a lot of what's called road crown.
Yeah, they're humped.
So that the rain will drain off. But if you look for a road where the more center lane looks relatively flat, and when you're driving, do not take your hands off the wheel. Folks, keep your hands on the wheel, but lessen your grip just to where you're holding the wheel gently, and count the reflectors in the road as you're driving. If your car stays relatively centered in the lane for more than 10 of those reflectors,
you're good.
Your alignment is good. Don't mess with it.
But Rick,
If it begins to drift to one side or the other, and it starts, or if it literally pulls to one side within 3 to 4 of those reflectors, now it's time to have your alignment checked and adjusted. And also, when you're getting new tires, good idea to have it adjusted then as preventative maintenance.
Okay, I'm still
Rick,
working
isn't
on
it
the
a
dogs
sign?
trotting at an angle. So I checked with ChatGPT. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I checked with ChatGPT, AI. Why do dogs trot at an angle sometimes? I won't read it all. Here they are. Muscle imbalance or injury, structural differences, conformation, certain breeds, terrain, energetic behavior, training or behavior, individual variation. And it's a complete, I love AI.
That's why
AI
they
is
do that.
great.
That's why they
Rick,
occasionally, they don't always do it, but you see them.
I
And all of a
see
sudden
my
they go
dog
like
do
that.
it when they're playing.
as far as this dog tracking is concerned, doesn't it usually mean that the car has been in a crash? I mean, that's just one of
Potentially,
many
yes.
signs
That is very
tracking car.
potentially.
A severely
and
dog
it's out of
tracking
alignment.
Yep.
You know?
A severely dog tracking car, it'd have to be a wreck. I mean, if you see a car going down the street like this,
Could be.
you
But
know,
also pickup trucks are more likely to have that because the rear axle is solid. And if that rear axle is not aligned perfectly to the center line of the vehicle, that's going to
See it
cause the
hard.
vehicle to start dog tracking sideways.
well,
Great information right here at Earl on Cars. Our number is 877-960-9960. You can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget your anonymous feedback. It's interesting. You can just say whatever you want, and nobody knows who you are. Okay, we are going to go back to the phones, and we're going to talk to Eric, who's calling us from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Eric.
Morning, guys. How are you? Good talking to you.
We're great. Nice to hear from you.
Fellow car people, fellow dog people. In fact, I'm just driving south on A01A from Jupiter Beach with my puppy. I passed your place, and I think it was time to call. You know, I was a long-time fan of the car guys. I had an emptiness gap since they were off the air, and then I found you guys a few weeks ago.
Oh.
You know, you're making my day every day.
Oh, great. Car Guys was great.
Wasn't it? Anyway, the question I have is I've been in real estate finance, my entire career, and on the real estate finance side, we do some pretty serious qualifying for somebody to get a loan, especially with new rules and regulations. The other day I was in a dealership looking at a Jeep Grand Wagoneer, and I'm semi-retired. I know what I can do. And on my application with the credit report, my state application, they came back and said, "Oh, you can afford this $900. We'll sell it to you, $5,000 down, $900 a month payment," which I really can't afford. I could, but I can't. And they were ready to drive out of the dealership, with a $900 payment with $5,000 down on a $80,000 car, or whatever the number was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was mind-boggled at the qualifying that's all they did within 15 minutes because I had a good credit score. Are the car dealerships or the finance people starting to do a more rigid debt-to-income credit qualifying? Because I imagine the default rates are going to start to pick up. Because my daughter's got a car loan, $800 a month, and I don't know if she can afford it, but it's crazy in my opinion.
Eric,
What do you think?
Eric, you're really on top of things. There's an article in this week's Automotive News, the trade journal for the manufacturers and dealers, and they're talking about what it is, what we were just talking about earlier, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, the lenders have really jumped into that big time because it's really money to them. When they issue credit, and they issue credit to the wrong person that can't make the payments on time, it's gonna cost them money. If they have to repossess a car, so they're making much better loans now, and that's good news for the people that have been under evaluated in terms of ability to pay, or over evaluated. It is far more accurate. They've seen now with AI applied, they can tell the average person to a much higher degree of accuracy how much down payment and what monthly payment they can afford. So it's really a good thing. It's far better than the way we were before, where it was a lot of shooting from the hip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it appears to me I see a lot of people driving around in some pretty expensive cars, and I look at them, and again, I hate to be judgmental, but I'm going, God, how do they afford that? You know, look, I go, how can they afford the payment on that car? So are they seeing many? Are they seeing many first payment or
I
6
think
months
there's a
default?
cultural. I honestly think that there's a like a cultural thing. I was watching. You're gonna laugh at me, guys. I was watching TikTok the other day. I was just curious to see what if car dealers were advertising on it. I did see a lot of car dealership employees with very funny TikToks that are filmed at the car dealerships. One was interesting. It was a guy, and I don't even know where this was. It looked like a GM dealership somewhere, and he was walking around asking the employees all over the dealership what they drove and what their car payment was. And I was shocked at the car payments that, you know, a guy working in the parts department, he's paying $1,100 a month for some supercar. There was somebody looked like another in the service department with an $800 car payment on a Mustang, and it was crazy. And there was and BMWs, a lot of luxury vehicles. I think a lot of the young, and they were all young. a lot of these younger people are. I mean, it's a status symbol. And they came of age in a time where a $800 car payment wasn't insane. And we have a car dealership, and I still think an $800 car payment is insane. I mean, I realize it's necessary on an expensive car to some degree, but it's cultural, and interest rates are higher, and there's a lot.
I'm guessing that a lot of lenders actually look at the individuals in terms of how important is this car to them. If you have an individual that needs a car, and a lot of us do, depends on where you live, what kind of job you have, and in certain areas of the country, if you don't have a car, you can't get to the pharmacy, you can't get to the doctor, you can't get to work, you can't get to school, you can't get to the hospital. So the lenders found out that people who need a car will make their car payments more religiously than they will make their mortgage payments, and they will pay a car back no matter what. So lifestyle and culture, as Stu said, is important. Rick has got his finger up.
I was going to say that back when I was a teenager, 20 years old, a 5-year car loan was considered like a long-term loan. Mm-hmm. Now we're seeing car loans of 6, 7, and even 8 years.
Right.
I mean, so...
in so many cases, though, that'll keep them from qualifying to buy their first home, right? If they buy the car before they buy the house. It used to be, you drove an old beater so you could buy a house, you know what I mean? And eventually you caught up.
Yeah.
But now it's like you got to drive the nice car and you can't afford to buy it.
Yeah.
So the last thing I'm topping off, you guys are great, but my whole life, has been Charlie Brown with new cars or whatever. If I could buy a car one day and it'd break down the next. But a few years ago, I picked up a used 2013 Jet at 2.5. This car's got 248,000 miles on it. Wow. It doesn't owe me a dime. 2 major tune-ups, tires, oil changes, air compressor, and that's it. It's a dog car. I got a big hairy dog, so I got to have a second car. Oof. But I don't know if you've seen that luck with the 2.5 before. I wish they still made it, but I have. It's a great car. So
I finally got lucky.
I finally got lucky. All right, guys, have a great Saturday.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend. We're going to go to Dave in Palm Beach Gardens. Good morning, Dave.
Yes, good morning. I had a question. I think you've discussed it once before, but it's about the interior of a vehicle smelling like smoke. I think you said you can get rid of the smell temporarily, but then it comes back. And I was just wondering, whatever that process is, when it comes back, can you just repeat the process again?
Yeah, well, Rick and I agree with the damp rid first and foremost. I can say from experience, Dave, I was a victim of a flood car quite some time ago.
Was it smoke? I think
cigarette smoke is what he's looking for.
Yeah, well, a flood car, smoke, it's, the resale value on your car, forget about it. But I'll let Rick take over and answer this question.
We've in reconditioning used cars. That's a constant thing. Luckily, it's much less these days. But back 15 years ago, 20 years ago, was a lot of cars that smell like smoke. The ones that are severely smoked in, there's nothing that can be done about it. There is treatments, there is ozonators, there's machines that you put in the car overnight. And in my experience, I know that the people that have those services and sell the machines say they work, but yeah, if it's a really smoked-in car, I think it's impossible to get the smoke out totally.
It's just
It
amazing
gets
how much
everywhere.
your car will depreciate, and you wonder what that person was thinking, whenever they were driving around and smoking, and they had the windows
They
up.
weren't.
Do you want to hear what AI has to say? This is a summary. Clean and vacuum, wipe down surfaces, air out the car, use baking soda, use charcoal, air fresheners, vinegar solution, ozone treatment, professional detailing, replace cabin air filter.
That sounds like something from
That
Seinfeld.
won't work. None of that works. Replacing the air filter is important because, but that's usually that's the first thing you do on a.
I'd
when
go
you get
for
a
the
car.
charcoal.
I just remember that one episode of Mythbusters when they left a pig carcass in the Corvette.
Oh my God!
Stu remembers that
Yeah.
one. He now you can't
Savage was a
smell things
savage.
through a television, but you could smell that car.
I smelled it.
And they could not even sell the car afterwards with no interior and cigarette smoke is like that.
Yeah, death and cigarettes, which are
Insidious.
That makes sense,
I hope we answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you. I think I will not buy the little old lady's car now because she, does do that. She smokes in it.
Oh no,
Pretty much.
You'll live with
I
it.
know her. Her name is Nicotine Nelly.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a great-looking car. It's a RAV4. It's top of the line. It really looks nice, but she's obviously abused it.
Yeah,
So I
that's
guess
her.
I'll just pass on that.
That's
Pass
her.
on that one.
We'll find a buyer that it doesn't smell very well. It
Great
can't
hearing
smell very
from
well.
you.
Right. Yeah, you could damage your smell, get
Yeah.
COVID or something, and then it won't matter.
Give us a call again. We're going to go out to Michigan and talk to Ken. Good morning, Ken.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for calling, Ken.
Hey,
Hi,
Ken.
good morning.
There
Can you
you
hear
are.
us?
Hi there.
Good morning.
Hi there. Good morning. You
Welcome.
might recall I had thank you. I had the 2016 Prius that Toyota could not fix the speedometer because it wouldn't go into kilometers.
Oh, I remember you. Yeah.
Ah.
And Toyota's remedy was buy a new Prius to replace my new Prius.
Oh, jeez.
Can you believe? That shocked me. I
Yeah,
mean,
never ceases
talking
to
about
amaze us.
apathy.
Well, they said I'd only
They
lose
bought you a
about
new Prius?
$15,000.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, they didn't.
No, I know.
They
I'm
said
kidding.
I'd lose, take about
The option
15
was
to
for you to buy the
16,000.
Prius.
For you,
Yeah.
for you people that are listening, when this was about 5 years ago, or
Yes, 2016.
yeah, 2016, and you live up near the Canadian border, and so
Right.
you shop back and forth just like you would if you lived on a state border, and you happen to buy your Prius in Canada, and of course the odometer's in kilometers, and but you live in America, so like Toyota doesn't understand that people that are in border countries will be. Same thing would happen with Mexico and Texas, and you're on a border with. Well, I guess you don't buy that many cars in Mexico, but you buy cars in Canada. But yeah, we went to bat for you and struck out, I think.
Correct. No, you made a great effort, but Toyota said, well, we sent out, a few thousand cars with speedometers that just didn't convert. We wanted to push them out the door because I saw it at the Detroit Auto Show 2 miles from Canada,
Yeah.
and they said, tough, just buy a new Prius. Great solution. Anyhow, the reason I was calling today is I was at the 120,000 mile mark and wanted to get an alignment. So I took your advice and went to a dealer and said, hey, give me a written quote on an alignment. And they said it's about a little over $200, but on top of that, there is a 10% surcharge for documentation. And I replied, you mean you're going to charge me 10% more for giving me my receipt? Well, yes. Is that a trend?
Oh, dear.
No, that's Rick. That's
been around a
common.
long time.
Yeah, they have. We're the only dealer that doesn't do that, but they always have miscellaneous supplies and other things that they charge extra.
10% to print out to get the printout from the alignment.
Yeah, the 10%.
Right, they had-
Well, that's
they had
on
the
every
shop
They have
service
10%
repair.
on everything. Yeah.
Right. No, they had the shop supplies at about $30 for
Yeah.
the $200 alignment, but then on top of that, a documentation fee for giving you. Apparently, state of Michigan requires everybody to get a receipt for their cars, and they said, "Well, yeah, that's what we charge." So I went to another Toyota dealer in Dundee and got the alignment for $99.99,
which is more appropriate for a Prius,
but a $50 surcharge.
Yes,
I thought
the thing to
I
do
was
is
just wondering if
always look at your invoice in any state, and every dealer that I know of on their service invoices has an extra junk fee. I mean, let's call. There used to be dealer fees and all these kind of fees. The generic term is junk fees. That means it's profit to the dealer, and it's not something that you should be charged for. So look at your service invoice, no matter what independent or dealer service department you go through, and if you see something at the bottom with an innocuous sort of a, I don't know what that is, it's usually at the bottom. Ask the cashier. Usually, if you ask the cashier and raise a little hell, they'll take it off because they know that conscientious people and smart people will catch them, and they just say, "Okay, we'll waive that for you." But if you don't ask, you pay.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I noticed sometimes they list it as a hazardous materials fee since I'm a firefighter or a medic.
Hazardous
I said,
materials.
well, give me the hazardous materials that you used, and I will dispose of them. And of course, there were none. So it was smart to get a quote ahead of time in writing, because then you could avoid problems down the road.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you, Ken.
I just wanted to say hi. Bye.
Have a great weekend. Look forward to hearing from you again. We'll go back to Stu.
Yeah, I got a text here. This is from Thiago, and he says, "Hi, Earl. An 89-year-old friend of mine was taken advantage of at a dealership this past weekend. He went in for a service job on his completely paid-off 2021 Kia Seltos, which was still completely covered under warranty, and left only 5 hours later after a salesperson convinced him to lease a new 2024 Kia Seltos, which is a lease, and having to make a $430 a month payment because he was advised his 2021 could blow up at any minute and he may be on the side of the road."
Yeah, it's a very sad fact that we've had other complaints. We've heard this over the years. We've got a lot of older people in Florida, especially South Florida. And the sad fact is we've really investigated this legally. And as long as a senior citizen has not signed over his rights of making decisions, they could do it to the family or someone. The court has to say that this senior citizen is incapable of making decisions, and then they have a person that is responsible. If they take advantage of a senior citizen under those conditions, you could bring the car back because they weren't allowed to sell them the car. But sadly, someone that, and many people, people are living older and older, and 89 is not real old like it was 40 or 50 years ago. I mean, so it's a sad fact. I can only advise, the relatives, children's friends of senior people that you feel are not capable of making the right decisions to help them. You just have to be there. But once they sign on the dotted line, unless they were taken advantage of illegally. If they did something that was illegal, then it falls under the Florida Seniors Crime Act, and that is extra punishment. If you commit a crime against a 40-year-old, the penalty is one thing. If you commit a crime against an 88-year-old, it's much more severe. But unless a crime was, I've had calls from people in Fort Lauderdale. The one that came to mind was Al Hendrickson Toyota. I'll say this without embarrassing anybody because Al Hendrickson sold that dealership to the Morgan Group. But back then, a very elderly man had bought a car, been taken advantage of just as you described, and his son found out about it and was told that they wouldn't give him the money back, and he never did get the money back. I even called Al Hendrickson on his behalf. So, if you have elderly family members, be careful, try to help them out.
All
Sad
right.
story.
I got a text from Vito. Are we going good on the phones?
We are.
Okay. Vito has asked a question this morning about leasing, and I also see that when I was out, he had texted. I don't know if he got his question there, but his question is: are you required to pay the acquisition fee on a lease vehicle? Isn't $550 a bit excessive? That's Vito in St. Petersburg. The acquisition fee is passed on to the dealer from the lease company, and it's worked into the price of the lease payment. So it's kind of like the cost of the to the dealer, so it's built into the lease payment. I think, and your other question that you had before.
Let me interject there.
Yeah.
That is still a junk fee. It just
Yes.
happens to be a junk fee
From the
by
manufacturer.
the leasing company.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a transportation fee on a new car. That's a junk fee, too. I mean, you should bake all your cost into the asking price to separate something out in a lease contract.
It doesn't come extra, though, so all their advertised lease price includes it. It doesn't come in afterwards. So if they have, so it is included in there.
Yeah,
In the advertised
it
price.
is included, but it's still...
It's not added. It's just itemized.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
It's not illegal. It's
Right.
not illegal.
It's just frustrating because it should be baked into the lease rate. That should be the thing. And the reason I wanted to jump into that is because Vito had another question about the money factor or the lease rate, and he wanted to know if it's negotiable. And I was about to say no, but yes, it is, because dealers will mark that up, and they'll use that as a hidden way to increase the lease payment. So that's the reason I think worrying about that and the acquisition fee kind of waste your time. You just got to get multiple quotes and go for the lowest payment.
There's a disposition fee, too.
At the end that you have to pay.
So, again, that's a junk fee.
Well, that's a junk fee that does kind of surprise you, because even though they tell you about it or it's in the contract, you're not going to know about it until the end from the manufacturer. The only case where the lease factor isn't if they're doing like a special incentivized lease program, and they can show you the lease factor, and no, they can't lower that. But if they're playing around with the numbers at a car dealership, most everything's negotiable. All right. Okay, I think we talked about this a little bit this morning. We have a text from Kyle. He says, "Good morning, everyone. Since Stu has the best feel for the current market," I know, I think my dad might. He reads a lot more automotive news than I do, so like on some of those macro things. He goes, "But what do I think about trade-in values right now? Have they gotten substantially worse? There are a lot of automobile bubble doom and gloom on YouTube who think it will get worse. MSRP on a new Toyota is still a pretty good deal. But what percentage of customers at your dealership trade in a car also?" Historically, about 40% to 50%, closer to 40% traded in a car. That number has dropped into the 30%. Hasn't crashed, but less than 40%. It feels like right now, and like you said, it's gone up and down. It's gotten a little bit better as far with prices. I mean, the last couple of weeks we actually made small profits at the auction, and like we talked about, it's a desperation, I think, need for good cars. You can't find them.
We're going to make a nice profit in the used car department.
Huh? This past month, yeah. Well, that's like I said, up and down.
Which we haven't been doing.
Right. No, I said it's been up and down, but this is the best up that we're going to have. So yeah, the behavior of the car dealers can reflect their needs, and we need cars. And I'm not trying to turn this into a commercial, but if you got a car, we need it. We're paying top dollar. But that's everybody. That's going to be the message from every car dealer right now.
It's a seller's market, boy. You're in the sweet spot. You got a used car you want to get rid of. Yeah. I almost would like to do it myself, because you could shop it around and people are frantic. Have you ever sold something that everybody wanted? If
you feel special.
You got a used car. Everybody wants your used car. So you can have a lot of fun, get the maximum dollar out of that used car.
Even in automotive news, they talk about the struggle is real. They are looking for used cars.
A year ago, I was getting solicitations to buy my house.
There you go. Yeah.
But I said no. Okay. I got a text from Negan. Let's see here. Hello, Stu. So I've been keeping my eye on the Ford Raptor R trucks they seem, these are the ones with 700 horsepower, by the way. Seems every one for sale currently is selling as used with 300 or so miles on them. As soon as I read that sentence, I began to laugh. Dealers are selling them to themselves. Yes, that's exactly what they're at MSRP. So their new car department is making some money. They drove them for a bit. I don't think they're even driving. They're going on the back lot. And then they go on the lot as used with a huge $30,000 to $40,000 additional dealer markup above MSRP. MSRP is $109,000.
So they talk about Hollywood Toyota.
Well, it sounds exactly like that. This is very common behavior, so it's not surprising to us at Earl on Cars. They do this to get around Ford's corporate, Ford Motors, saying the dealers will be punished for selling new cars with additional dealer markups. So we went through this many years before Ford. Toyota imposed some advertising and rules called the Covenant, and to get around these advertising rules and how you get advertised, a lot of dealers would just buy cars from their new car department. So it's a company. That sounds really weird.
You can't advertise a car below invoice.
Right, so they can advertise a car. But now we're going the other way. Now we're going, how high can you go? Back then it was, how low can you go? And that was a trick to get around it. Toyota caught up and they amended the rules. And I assume, Negan, that Ford's going to catch up and they'll amend the rules. But it is a shady practice. You said it's a shady practice. It's causing backlash in the Raptor community. That's something that dealers should understand. That with a lot of these vehicles, it's an important thing. It is a community, and when you're treated like garbage like that without any regard for anybody's financial situation, they think, well, it'll go to the guy that can afford it, and that changes the community. So that's really cool. Thanks for that, Negan. And then. Last text I have one from Bob. It says, "Good morning. My question is, what would cost more to maintain for 5 years, a gas version or a hybrid of the?"
Actually, if you drive it right, the tires would last a lot.
You start seeing how much you can maximize your gas mileage. And so there's a thing. Oh wow, because you can see it in real time, and usually in the hybrids. Or maybe all the time, there's cool little gizmos showing you where the battery power is going and the gas, and so you try to maximize it, and consequently, you're driving the car easier and doing less wear and tear.
You're playing it's playing a video game with yourself as you're driving.
It's amazing. That's
trying
amazing,
to maximize those numbers.
Yeah. Great information.
When I first got a Prius like years ago, there's this thing we all did. It was called hypermiling, and because you could kind of play around with. There was like these sweet spots you could find with the pedal.
Yes.
And you could make the car go into all electric mode for a while or coast. And you would just be going down the road at, because when you're already, inertia allows you, once you're going at a speed, it takes very little energy to maintain it. It's just getting to that speed. So if you could it was fun to do. And sometimes I would get, 70, 80 miles per gallon, for a period of time, maybe a few days. It was pretty cool.
And
Welcome to the new world.
It also teaches you to look for roads where you can avoid the traffic, avoid the red lights. It spreads traffic out, so it's good for the whole community when you're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just about 9:31, and I think that we're going to have to go to the Big Dog Ranch segment. And if we have time after the Mystery Shopping Report, we'll go back to Stu on Facebook and Rick with YouTube. But there's all kind of great things going on out there at Big Dog Ranch that a lot of people don't know. The first thing I'd like to share with you is the fees out there, and they're temporarily reduced. These are adoption fees. And did you know that $200 for dogs under 6 months, $200 for the
there's a sale.
Adoption fee.
Yeah,
they're having a sale. And also for the dogs that are over 6 months old, it's $100.
That have been at Big Dog Ranch for more than 6 months, yeah.
Yeah. So longer than 6 months. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't get that part. Okay. So at any rate, if you don't have the website, you can go to www.bigdogranchrescue.org. And I hope we have time to share our visit out there with Big Dog Ranch. We had an absolutely phenomenal time out there, even with the weather and everything that went on. But today we have Aladdin, a.k.a. Tank. and he's going to come to us on a video, and that video will be narrated by Natalie, and he's a bulldog.
And we're paying the adoption fees.
An American mixed, and he's 60 pounds. And I'm not quite sure how long he's been out at Big Dog Ranch, but right here at Earl on Cars, we make it easy for you to adopt a dog by paying the adoption fees. And they do a background check. It's just an amazing place. And the volunteers out there, they are amazing people, but they're still looking for more volunteers. And did you know that they are the largest cage-free, no-kill shelter in the United States? Laurie Simmons and everyone else out there, what a great job they're doing out there.
They
and
euthanize no dogs. They've had dogs out there for over 5 years until they found a home finally.
Yeah, exactly. And we had recently a dog of the week that was out at the ranch for 520 days. And if you didn't know about their veteran program out there, it's just amazing. We were with some of the dog trainers, and what an amazing program that is, where they just pair a veteran and a dog. And it takes a long time for that to happen. They have to train that dog, service dog, for, like 6 months, and then they bring the veteran in, and, every once in a while is just magical. They just love each other, and they just go home very, very happy. And sometimes it doesn't happen, so they work very hard out there with the dog training program for service dogs. So at any rate, we have Natalie, and I believe that Jonathan is ready for Natalie to bring in Aladdin, a.k.a. Tank, on video.
Cue video.
Hi, we're here with Tank, also known as Aladdin. He was a boxer bulldog mix born here at Big Dog Ranch, and he was adopted as a puppy and has been returned, so he is looking for a home again. He's a big guy, would like some active family, a yard to run in, but he just needs a home, pretty calm, past that crazy puppy phase, and will be your best friend.
Big boy.
He's beautiful.
How much do you think he weighs? Did they say how much he weighs?
He's 60 pounds.
60 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's small.
And it's a pretty young pup.
If you're looking
at 6 months and 2 weeks.
That's a puppy. Okay, so he's not even full grown. So like he's a big bulldog. So he's probably at a year and a half, 2 years, totally fully grown. So he might get a little bit bigger. He'll fill out.
Ooh.
Oh, he definitely will fill out.
if you've never been, of course this is if you're local, but if you come to this area or you're local, if you've never been to Big Dog Ranch Rescue, Nancy and I, she said we're out there Sunday or the day before yesterday, and it was shocking to how much they've grown. I mean, they are growing by leaps and bounds. And I was talking in the studio before we went live on the air. They have, since we've been out there, they have built Puppy Town. They have an entire town, I'm telling you, a town of little houses for the puppies. And right next to Puppy Town is the maternity ward.
Mama Town.
So when they adopt a pregnant a dog, and the puppies are born, they move to Puppy Town. Okay. And so you could either go into the maternity ward and adopt the mama and some of the pups after the pups have been weaned. Then you got to go over to Puppy Town.
Go to Puppy Town and lie down on your back, and you'll be attacked by puppies.
Yeah, and all the houses, each house in Puppy Town is a different color. They have a lake, a swimming pool. They also built, this is mind-boggling, they built a beautiful home out there. So I asked the manager out there, have you finished the home? Well, it'll be finished in just a few weeks. It looked like it was finished to me. And I said, well, what's the home for? I thought maybe Laurie Simmons, the founder of Big Dog Ranch, was going to move out there. It's a home for the dogs. Before dogs are adopted, they're in cages, and I guess it's an acclimation
To get them used to
so they
living
put
at
them in a
home.
home so they can be trained
So they know what
not
bed
to
is.
wee on the carpet and to go to the front door and they feel comfortable when they go instead of being moved right from a little bitty enclosure
someone's
into a big
house.
home. You're already in a home and you acclimate. It's amazing what
That's
they've
really
done
cool.
out there.
And ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna adopt a very healthy dog. If you don't know it, I mean, they have a surgery center. They have a dental department.
Quarantine center?
They have everything you can imagine that a human would, have. And it's just an amazing place. If you get a chance, go ahead out, take a look around. You can spend an hour, you can spend all day. There's so much to see.
It's in Loxahatchee Groves. So if you're in South Florida, you just go west on Okeechobee Boulevard off the turnpike.
Yeah.
Just go west on Okeechobee Boulevard,
Oh, wow.
and it'll take you from the turnpike about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And when you get out there, it's worth just visiting. Even if you don't want a dog, you will see the most amazing facility to house dogs you've ever seen in your life. It's just worth going out there and wandering around.
Yeah, absolutely. And Josh was out there with us, and there were a lot going on out there. They were taking a lot of pictures, and the dogs were just, maybe it was because of the storm that they were just so worked up, but they come flying out of the door. And Josh said something really funny. We're going to have some really great pictures of you, Nancy, being mauled by the dogs because they came out and I was holding these treats and they jumped all over me and I was like near the lake out there where they like to play.
Love that lake.
And Earl was too. But the dogs were everywhere. They were just having a great time. Josh was having a great time. So at any rate, let me mention Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer and the fact that this book is timeless. And you can purchase this book, and all proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch. All proceeds. Give me a little dog. Oh, isn't he precious? So, at any rate, Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer. Like I said, the book is timeless, and it goes to a very good cause. All proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch. Okay, Jonathan, we're at 9:40. It's time, I believe, for the Mystery Shopping Report. Okay.
All right.
Remember,
Mystery Shop-
folks, you can take and you can vote at 772-497-6530. And we went to, where did we go? We went to Rob Lamadin's University Dodge of Fort Lauderdale.
I've never heard of that place.
I never
I've heard of University of Dodge. I don't know. Maybe they just tagged his name on it recently.
Well, Fort Lauderdale threw me off because that's a lot of big places,
Yeah.
but there's also so many small
Right.
mom pa dealerships there off the sides of the roads down there. So I don't know.
University Dodge.
Well, it sounds like a small dealership, but like Nancy said, I wouldn't think you'd find a small dealership in Fort Lauderdale. I believe it is, because usually the Stellantis, you have the Dodge, Jeep,
Is it Rob Landis?
yeah, Rob Landon, yeah. Okay, I'll speak as if I were Agent Lightning, and this is the mystery shop. Upon my arrival at the dealership at 8:50 a.m., the showroom was eerily quiet, much like a ghost town. I guess most dealerships don't open the sales department until 9 o'clock. Like a ghost town. 3 Hellcats, all locked and occupied on the floor. The Hellcat is a super fast car. I think I saw something about Jay Leno buying a Hellcat for his collection.
Right.
And I think it's because this is the last year for the Hellcat.
Yeah, I'm not that. I know. So I know what the Hellcat is because it's that super fast supercar. But that's a version of an SRT. Which
It's
is
the Dodge Challenger SRT with the massive upgraded motor.
So both of these cars you looked at were Challengers.
Yeah, and then they came out with the very extremely limited Demon version that was pretty much meant only for racetracks because it actually gave your Plaid a run for its money.
Wow. After about 10 minutes of wandering, I took note of a group engaged in a meeting. They glanced my way but made no move to engage. It later came to my attention that they held roles as finance and sales managers. Feeling the urge to explore, before I go there, I just said, Nancy and I were talking about that. There's just something not smart about holding a meeting when customers are coming into the dealership or restaurant or anything else. I've had that happen. Nancy and I have had that happen to us, where we walked into a restaurant and when they were open for business, and they were all having a meeting and they were ignoring us. Not smart. It's not devious. It's not deceptive, but it's stupid. Feeling the need to explore, I made my way to the outdoor lot. It wasn't much before an employee approached. I already did that. He says, could you wait about 5 minutes? Not long after, a cluster of 8 men appeared from another building, brushing past me without uttering a single word. Curious, I followed them in the showroom. Upon my return, a salesman munching on something came up to me. He covered his mouth and inquired, do you need help? Really laid back. I mean,
yeah. Well, at least he didn't.
It's hard to believe this is a Fort Lauderdale. I mean, I would think this would be a country town.
At least he wasn't like chomping on his breakfast with his mouth open.
Anyway, I said, I'm quite interested in this Hellcat. I responded. Did you schedule an appointment, he asked. No, I replied, is that necessary? No worries, he assured us. I'm here to assist you. He then shared, we only have 3 Hellcats in stock. Due to their limited availability, they're priced above MSRP.
Real quick, I'm looking on their website. They have a lot of vehicles in stock.
But not Hellcats.
Not Hellcats. I'm saying as far as size of the dealership goes, they're stock in 344 used vehicles.
Well, that's what they say.
That's what they say.
Yeah. The MSRP on the Monroe label said $108,095. Whoa! Who never thought of Dodge for $108,000?
That everybody wants
Times
to get.
they're changing. The addendum, hang on to your hats. You better sit down for this one. Another $21,397 added to the $108,095. Now, you got to love a Dodge to pay that much money for a Dodge.
You got to love very, very much.
Curious, I posed the question, is the markup really $20,000 above MSRP? No, he clarified, we can work with you. Okay.
Of course.
And the gas mileage, I continued playing nonchalant. What a question. The gas mileage.
Well, this is funny, too.
The sticker, this is the answer. The salesman says, the sticker might say 13 miles per gallon, but realistically, you get close to 9.
Right.
I mean, I know that the difference between 13 and 9 is 4, but
it's still, once you go to single digits.
As for the SRT, about 15 miles per gallon, he explained, with a jesting tone. He shouted to a colleague, hey, Justin, how many miles does your Hellcat give? So the salesman, Justin, drives a Hellcat. Before Justin could respond, the salesman smirked, but beware, he drives like there's no tomorrow. In good humor, Justin replied, honestly, about 7 miles per gallon.
7. And there's another question. We're talking about high car payments and things like that. Justin's a salesman driving a $100,000 car.
I drove the first Mazda RX 100, Mazda RX 100, and that got 7 miles per gallon. I've never heard of a car getting that low mileage.
Not to mention, I knew a person that had a Hellcat. He sold it because he was putting on all 4 tires and all 4 brakes, pads and rotors, about every 7 to 10,000 miles.
And he was getting
if you want a muscle car, you're going to
miles
have to
per
buy
gallon.
one of these. So there are people out there that are still buying muscle cars, and the Hellcat is for
a muscle car.
The dying population that wants these cars, and they apparently pay up for them. I quipped to Justin, how often do the cops pull you over? He says, only once, Justin retorted, but the officer let me off. Told him he'd never catch me if I didn't want him to. I don't believe that. But salesman laughed. Not only does he drive well, but he's also bold with the officers. I believe that. Getting back to the business, I asked, could I get a price for both the Hellcat and the SRT? Certainly, the salesman responded, introducing himself as Will. He handed the window stickers for both vehicles. By the way, you mentioned every Friday morning, the finance and sales teams have their meetings. Given that last month's sales didn't meet expectations, they'll likely be in there until 10 a.m.
They're being accosted and
that's
beat up.
brutally honest. Tell this customer that your sales are not good. We'll continue. The SRT isn't marked up as much as the Hellcat, but I'm not trying to make you subtle. I just want you to have all the information. I was given 2 hand-scrawled worksheets for both vehicles. Both included all the markups. Recalling his previous question, he asked, "So how soon are you thinking of buying?" "I need a car ASAP," I replied, "but $20,000 above MSRP is asking a bit too much, even for a Hellcat." Will suggested, "Once the managers are out of the meeting," you can't make this stuff up, "around 10 or 10:30, you should talk to them directly about the price." No wonder they're not selling many cars.
Right.
They're always in a meeting. He went on to assure me, regardless of the selling price, my commission remains the same. I don't believe that.
That was
But if
interesting.
that's true, it's a good thing.
If it's true, it's a good thing. Well, we'll make sure Agent Light knows to ask more when she gets information.
We'll find
like
out about that. I mean, what a bizarre dealership. We should have a third category: buy, don't buy, and you ain't believing this.
Yeah.
And that would be under the third column.
If they're putting $21,000 to play with on the price, and they're paying the salesperson just a flat commission, I don't believe that.
I don't believe it. The conversation dragged on with Will's attempt to fill the uncomfortable time while we waited. Oh, man. But we're gonna,
hey, I hand it to Agent Lightning for pretending to wait until 10:30, or as
we
long
need
as
to
she
shop
did.
them maybe once every 2 months just for a laugh. I mean,
We'll catch them in a meeting.
Yeah.
We were there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're in their afternoon meeting
Yeah.
until 5:30.
well, first of all, they're a dealership selling only Dodge, and that's out of the dark ages. I mean,
Yeah.
it used to be there were just
Oh no, you're right. There's
Yeah.
nothing on their website
they're
but
just selling
Dodges.
Dodges. Yeah, I mean, there used to be just GMC dealers and just Buick dealers.
He must have done something bad.
And
He
then
did-
after a while, they dueled and become
Maybe
anyway.
maybe Lambdas has been there forever, or he did, or Dodge. They don't like him, and they won't give him a Jeep franchise.
The conversation dragged on with Will's attempt to fill the uncomfortable time while we waited. Decided I wasn't going to wait any longer. Our conversation drew to an end. And I requested his business card. "It's all the same to you," he offered. "Why not save my details in your phone?" He gave me his name again, Will, and his personal cell number. Now, that I recommend you always try to get the personal cell number of your salesperson, your sales manager. So this is a third category. We cannot categorize this dealership.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Thanking me for my time, he expressed, "I hope to hear from you soon," and got some nice pictures of the dealership. It's just a Dodge dealership in Fort Lauderdale. Very strange. Well, I guess we'll get some very strange votes, and
Yeah.
we'll see what's happening.
Right. All I got is from Mark right now. He says, "What? How much? No need for further information. My grade equals D." And then he texted it again a minute later and says, "I mean F." But I think, for me, this is going to be a first for me. I'm giving him an I. Incomplete. We don't know what really happens at Lambda's University Dodge. We know what they want to do. They want to make a. I'm going to guess the gross on it, if you sold it at MSRP, is probably $15,000 anyway. So, with holdback and all that sort of stuff, you add $21,000 on, and you're selling this car you're making a shy of a $40,000 gross profit. They get an A for the most ambitious deal I think I've ever seen, but they get an I because I don't know what's happening. Moving right along to you, Rick.
Okay. I've got Negan 1 with a big F. ADM no go. Joseph Kelleher with an F. Kirk in West by God, Virginia. University Dodge. This sounded more like an episode out of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Silly markups and meetings to boot equals F. Let's see. That's all we've got so far.
I got one here from Bob. He says, "I'll send my grade for University Dodge after my meeting ends at 10:30."
I have a picture.
The show's over then, Bob.
I have a picture of the new vehicle director, and if you can see that.
Is that the guy with the big beard?
With a big beard. He's got a long beard.
He looks like a lumberjack.
Yeah. So they're there, and they are Dodge Ram. So they have Dodge, and they have the Ram truck. But,
okay. Now, one other thing that Dodge did, by the way, you notice there was a Durango on the showroom floor. Dodge actually put the Hellcat motor and driveline
in that truck
in a Durango. They only did, again, a very limited number.
It was a SUV, right?
And they jacked the price way up on those as well.
Is that fun to drive?
There actually was talk. They wanted to try to put a Hellcat into basically a caravan, a minivan.
Oh, really? I mean, to sell at their dealerships?
To sell to dealerships. I don't imagine why they would do that, but they were talking
because
of
they
it.
saw how well Toyota did with the Sienna SE Swagger wagon.
Yeah, they just wanted a minivan that could do a quarter mile in 4 seconds.
Hey, they probably have some time on their hands, and they're sitting around like, what can we do with these cars, man?
Yeah.
What if we start swapping the engines around?
Mm-hmm.
We could kill some time, maybe make some money. I don't know. All right, we need some grades from you guys.
Okay, Earl.
Earl's. What do you
I was trying to find some more information off their website. All I can tell you is they have several people with long beards.
Really?
So,
More than one?
yeah. Well,
Is it an Amish dealership?
that's a possibility. I haven't thought about that.
Sounds interesting. Long beards.
I'm in shock because they're not in. Like Stu said, how could you give them a grade? They seem like they're in La La Land. I don't understand.
Lala?
Yeah.
You know where they really were? Clownsville.
Yeah.
Your vote is what?
My vote is going to be. My vote. I'm going to withhold my vote. I don't know how to vote on the dealership.
Okay.
You're going to give them an I.
Okay.
And incomplete.
And incomplete. Yeah.
Yeah, it's their fault. I mean, if they were on the ball, we would have had some information to work with.
Well, the show is to analyze deception and transparency, and can you go in and get an honest deal? That's what we're set up to do. But
we don't know that. But it doesn't look good so far. It's set up poorly.
Yeah.
Well,
YouTube just caught up to me, and I just got a whole bunch more came in. So, Mark Anderson, ? I think he's confused as we are, and he's probably going incomplete like Stu did. Tim Gilliland, 100,000 plus with a 20,000 addendum and 7 miles per gallon. Where do I sign? Grade equals weird.
yeah.
Johnny Z. Fradley, F. Flat commission might be the same, but I'm sure there are bonuses. Brian Sidlatko, my grade is D for Dodge with a downward thumb. Rocky Blockatiel, 120K Hellcat? Hell no. I'll have to dodge that dealership. Mark Smith, I give him a solid D minus. Joded, University? No, more like primary school. F. Ken Asher, F. Mark Smith, I'll keep my Camry XLE V6, which Mark told me earlier he just wound up buying this Camry, so he's kind of proud of it. Good for you, Mark. Welcome back to the family. We won him back from Nissan. And that's what we've got so far.
Okay.
My own grade, I'm going with Stu. I'm going incomplete.
Incomplete.
We're going to have to send her back to this one.
Yeah.
Different
Agent Lightning never ceases to amaze me. She, emphasized that she was going along. She was nonchalant, even though she could have taken it in a different direction. And for me, I don't need any more information. I can wing it from the material that's sitting in front of me. And I have to ask, as Earl did, with the finance managers, with the sales managers, with all these people that were around, why were they even there? And I thought that the customer always came first. And the guys here pointed out to me, everybody had a long beard. He's got food in his mouth, and he's trying to eat. So, and then forget about it. She asks, is the markup really 20,000? Is the markup really 20,000? All I would want in response to this salesperson, if that's what he was a yes or a no. But yet he said, we can work with you. I got to turn around and get out of that dealership because it's definitely Clownsville.
But
And I
we'll be
give them
back.
an F.
FFF. They, I don't think there's as many people with long beards as you think. Apparently,
2 minutes.
Okay, this guy appears more than once.
Only two.
He appears more than once on the website. He appears
Is
under.
that the same guy?
Yeah, he's under
As a
the sales
sales
management team as new vehicle director. It's Kevin.
Ah.
And if you go all the way down, he also appears under a group of people known as the Power Brokers.
Ah.
And he's under as a sales expert. So
And Justin has no picture at all.
Justin has a placeholder picture.
Yeah.
It just says Justin Ferrero, and a little icon.
I think we got to go, don't we?
All right, let's go.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this Labor Day weekend. We certainly enjoyed your company, everybody involved, and we'll be right back here next week. And don't forget to go to BigDogRanchRescue.org and take a look at all the dogs that they have there and even more information about Tank.
But Tank
Have
is
a
free.
wonderful weekend.